Judy Garland's life story is one of tragedy, heartache, exploitation, and loss. She spent the majority of her time searching desperately for love, only to come up empty-handed. Though it's been more than a half-century since her death, Judy still remains one of the most iconic and beloved stars of American cinema. She brought so much joy to the world with films like The Wizard of Oz, A Star is Born, and more. But behind the scenes, the actress and singer's love life was full of strife and struggle. Join Facts First as we present why all 5 of Judy Garland's marriages failed. David Rose. Judy married bandleader and composer David Rose, no relation to the Schitt's Creek character, in 1941, just 2 years after The Wizard of Oz debuted in theaters. On their wedding day, Garland was 19 and Rose was 31. While both her mother and MGM founder Louis B. Mayer objected to the marriage, Garland ignored their wishes, and the two exchanged vows in secret in Las Vegas with a justice of the peace. After tying the knot, they moved in together in L.A. Garland believed Rose would be the only man she'd marry, but not long after moving into their Bel Air mansion, cracks began to form in that youthfully naive vision. For one thing, the two had diametrically opposed personalities and were incompatible. Puppy love no doubt blinded Judy to this fact until it was already too late. Garland later described Rose as acting like an old man. But that's not surprising considering their 12-year age gap. Even though it was becoming increasingly evident that the two weren't meant to be each other's forever loves, Judy tried her best to keep the marriage alive. Just 3 years later, however, they decided to call it quits after Judy discovered she was pregnant. Her mother arranged for her to have a clandestine abortion, something that was quite frowned upon but not at all uncommon in the studio system era. By the end of 1944, Garland and Rose were officially divorced. Vincente Minnelli. Minnelli was a renowned Hollywood director best known for his musical films An American in Paris and Gigi. Garland and Vincente struck up a relationship while working together on the set of Meet Me in St. Louis in 1944, although they had first met while filming Strike Up the Band in 1940. Minnelli is frequently credited with helping Garland arrive at her trademark look. In fact, one biographer, Emmanuel Levy, author of The Advocate, noted that Garland never looked more beautiful than the way Minnelli made her look. Garland and Minnelli walked down the aisle in 1945. Less than a year later, Judy gave birth to their daughter, Liza. They continued to collaborate in films throughout their marriage, albeit with some difficulty. During the production of the 1948 film The Pirate, Garland was neck-deep in an addiction to prescription drugs. Reportedly, she missed 99 out of the film's 135 shoot days. It's a wonder it got completed at all. Minnelli found himself in the difficult position of being the one in he and his wife's relationship expected to be the sole source of stability. But even though Garland's frequent mood swings and rampant drug use were obviously interfering in their lives, Minnelli deeply loved her and was quick to show her sympathy. In retrospect, it's obvious this isn't the best recipe for keeping a marriage going. Garland's instability continued to rock their marriage until the end. She was deeply depressed, anxious, and hopelessly addicted to pills. Her condition continued to deteriorate after she was fired from MGM for suffering a nervous breakdown. Perhaps the biggest reason why Garland and Minnelli's marriage failed, however, was the fact that Vincente had a huge secret. He was gay. As a young man, he wasn't afraid to explore this side of himself openly while living in New York City, but once he came to Hollywood, he covered up that aspect of his personality and went on to marry 4 women, Garland being his first. When they divorced in 1951, Judy was already seeing the man who would become her next husband. Sid Luft. Sid was a movie producer who eventually became Judy's manager. They first met in 1937, 2 years before Garland played Dorothy in Wizard of Oz. In 1950, they reconnected at a nightclub in Manhattan. Both Sid and Judy were still married at the time, but that didn't stop them from striking up a romance. Luft's marriage to actress Lynn Barry was in shambles, and Garland's marriage with Minnelli was doused in unhappiness. After pursuing Luft, Garland finally worked up the courage to leave him and seek a divorce. While Garland was disappointed that Vincente couldn't help advance her career, Luft did the exact opposite. Both before and during their marriage, he championed her ambition. He was also the one who produced A Star is Born, the film that's known for bringing about Garland's big comeback. When Luft married Garland, his intentions were evidently quite noble. He loved her deeply and wanted to help protect her from the trauma that seemed to follow her. But not long after getting together, a major problem arose. Garland got pregnant while they were having their affair. Luft reacted to the news by instructing Garland to seek an abortion. The last thing he wanted was a big media scandal to contend with. In 1952, the two got married. Soon after, Garland had a daughter named Lorna. Later, she also gave birth to a son, Joseph. Luft and Garland were married 13 years. This would make it the longest of Garland's marriages. This also means, however, it's the marriage that spent the longest time in a state of decay. Luft was troubled by Judy's addiction to pills. Before they got married, he thought he could handle it, and he did help her achieve a modicum of stability. Inevitably, however, their relationship began to fray as Garland's health declined and her substance dependency increased. Luft wasn't without his own share of problems as well. During their divorce proceedings, Garland claimed he had hit her many times and drank heavily. Mark Herron. Judy met actor Mark Herron in 1964 while she was still with Luft. After her and Luft's divorce was finalized, the two got married, once again in Vegas, in November 1965. Herron was very supportive of Garland's career and even produced some of her concerts with her daughter Liza in London. 6 months after getting hitched, however, Garland was granted a legal divorce. She testified at her divorce proceedings that Herron had manhandled her. In his defense, Herron claimed he had acted in self-defense. Just like Vincente Minnelli, Herron was gay. After divorcing Garland, he stayed with his life partner, stage and film actor Henry Brandon, until Brandon's death in February of 1990. Mickey Deans. Mickey Deans, Judy Garland's fifth and final husband, was a musician and manager of a disco venue. Judy met Deans in a rather unusual yet distinctly Judy Garland kind of way. In 1966, when she was 44, Deans delivered a parcel of stimulant drugs to her hotel room. The two instantly felt chemistry and started dating, despite the fact that Deans was 12 years her junior. After dating 3 years, Deans and Garland made things official by getting married in 1969. Judy gushed to reporters that she had finally, after all those years and failed marriages, found her true love. While that's what she was telling the media, Judy's friends were less confident. One of her production assistants, Lori Wilder, derided Deans by calling him the dreadful man who became her husband. She went on to lament that if Garland had put an ad in the paper looking for the most unsuitable person to take care of her, she would likely not have found a better partner. On the 22nd of June 1969, Deans discovered Garland's body lying lifeless on the bathroom floor of their London apartment. It was quickly discovered she had died from an acute barbiturate overdose. Garland's autopsy concluded if she hadn't died from an overdose, she likely wouldn't have lived much longer, as she was already suffering from severe cirrhosis of the liver. That being said, a second autopsy's results disputed that claim. Regardless, it was clear Garland was living on borrowed time. Between her declining mental health, substance abuse, and various other health struggles, it was obvious she wasn't going to wind up finding her fairy tale happily ever after. Whether or not Deans really was the love of her life is a matter of debate. Still, it was heartbreaking they never got the chance to really see where their marriage was going to lead. Garland's light was snuffed out much too soon, leaving a dismally sad, cautionary tale for those who think being a star is all about glitz and glamour. Now it's time to hear from you. Which one of Judy Garland's roles is your favorite? Let us know in the comment section below.